Ladies and gentlemen, today, as I speak, I'm seated with one of the historicals in Uganda's aviation sector. I know you're asking so many questions, but hey, we are about to break that down, and we shall be speaking along the lines of airport stroke aviation operations. We shall be speaking things to do with sales, and of course, general management of the aviation business. We shall be making comparisons nationally, continentally, and globally. My name is Olivia Nakalembe. Welcome to the Aviation Blueprint, where we look around for the contribution of the aviation sector to the growth of Uganda's economic development, but most importantly, the tourism sector. Thank you so much for sparing time amidst your busy schedule.
You're most welcome.
And we're so glad to be hosted in your beautiful home.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Please introduce yourself to everyone watching us and walk us through your background. Where did you grow up from? What was home like? Where did you go to school? And is aviation one of the things that, one of the careers actually, that was behind your head when you were navigating school?
Okay. My name's Ada Mugenyi. I went to school, my primary school was very interesting. I went to Kawale Preparatory School, which was one of, I think it was the first international school in Uganda. We were brought up very well by ladies from Ireland in a Christian way. Some very nice white ladies from Ireland. We were very few, a selected few. And I think that was the foundation that we got as children, me and my sister, because that's where we went to KPS. From KPS, I went to Namagunga. I was in Namagunga from S1 to S6. A very firm foundation there as well.
Indeed.
Very principled people, full of integrity. Then I went to Makerere University. I did economics and political science. And then after that, I got married while I was at the university, then got transferred with my husband at that time to Mombasa. I did Ayata Ufta diploma. Now, the reason why I did Ayata Ufta is when I was 16 years old, my dad was a board member of Uganda Airlines. Okay. By the way, my job then and him being a board member were not related at all. Yeah. So at the age of 16 years old, board members were invited on a flight. Uganda Airlines wanted to buy an aircraft from Kamako. So I was 16 years old and I went with my dad and my mom on the flight. We were hosted by a crew from America. And we sat in business class with the top managers. And they were all talking about the airline and airline jargon. And I was like, I'm going to work in the airline. I made up my mind at that point to work in the airline. But I didn't know how I was going to do it. But I was like, I'll figure out how to do it. Because I was only 16. I just sat and listened to everything we were talking about. I didn't want to be an air hostess because I admired these managers and I was like, no, I have to get there one day. So when I did my Ayata Ufta diploma in Mombasa, I was targeting working as a manager one day. I happened to be in the right place at the right time. Uganda Airlines was looking for a station manager in Mombasa.
Okay.
I had the qualifications. I came to Uganda, did an interview, won the interview, and at the age of 26, I was made station manager in Mombasa. Now, in Mombasa, I had to handle everything. I was working with a partner, they're called general sales agents. I was sitting in their office, but I had to handle airline operations with Kenya Airways. I had to do sales and ticketing. I had to do marketing. So I learned everything from airport operations to marketing to handling ticket sales, because sales is different from reservations. Okay. So I had to handle all of them together. So I was a one-man person in Mombasa. So it taught me how to work under pressure, and I loved it. I loved working on my own, reporting to the country manager who was in Nairobi. I would fly often, would have meetings, I'd come back. So at the age of 26, I did all my training that an airline needs. So unfortunately, Uganda Airlines closed, and I applied to Alliance Air. I became the assistant manager of Alliance Air. Oh, Alliance Air was a beautiful airline. We still have a group, we still talk and laugh. That's where I really, I learned brand management from Alliance Air. South African Airways was the bigger partner in the airline. So we were trained. We were taken to the airport. They had a training school in South Africa. So we were given all kinds of training. We used to have books that big called Bibles. So we learned ticketing, we learned customer service, we learned leadership, safety and operations. It was a must that every year we were taken for training. It was automatic. Every year you'd have a calendar, you put in your name when you want to go for training, aviator training. So we got our best training I got my best training from Alliance Air. I got rewarded for being a best performer. I was taken to Sun City, 5 nights. A very good experience for me. So after Alliance Air, I joined Africa One as the country manager. Africa One really taught me high-level management. I was joining EXCO meetings. I would do budgeting. I was overall monitoring everything. Now, because I started from the bottom, I knew everything. I knew airport operations. I know everything about check-in counter, manifests. I knew everything from airport operations, marketing, sales and reservations, all from Uganda Airlines and Alliance Air. Now, Africa One was the highlight for me in marketing and branding. Our flights were full because we knew exactly what to do. And we were not many people. We were a small team, but working very hard together. Then I got a break and went to South Africa, high-level marketing as well. When I came back, I joined Rwanda Air. Country manager Rwanda Air for 3 years in Uganda. Boosted the sales, was transferred to Zimbabwe, boosted the sales by 75%. So that was another big achievement for me, which I look back and I thank God for.
Wow.
So that's my history in the airline. 21 years.
21 years.
Yeah.
What was the face? What did the aviation industry at the time look like vis-a-vis what it looks like right now?
Working in the airline was wow. You get highly respected. Etiquette, integrity, honesty, smart. You would hold your head high and know I'm working with a very reputable country.
It was prestigious.
Yes, very prestigious, and the airline is the brand of the country at the end of the day. Even when I worked for Rwanda Air, I was so proud of working for Rwanda Air. I was representing a country, beautiful culture. So an airline at the end of it represents the culture of the country.
Talking about some of the shifts that we have experienced as time goes by, what could those be? But still going back to the question that I just asked earlier on.
We used to use faxes that time. Telefax.
The fax?
Yes.
Wow.
And we used to I actually have a copy of a handwritten ticket. I kept as a souvenir. I have it up to now. We used to handwrite tickets. Never in our lives would we have thought that time that you can go online and purchase a ticket for yourself and check in and just go and leave your baggage. You don't even have to see the person at the counter. Just check in your baggage and go. It's so amazing to see it now.
The transformation.
Yeah. Marketing has also changed. I love technology. I like being up to speed with what's going on. So I'm seeing social media marketing. One customer just has to write a bad review. I experienced it in Zimbabwe when baggage got delayed. And so the customer was so upset. And I'll go into detail on how to handle customer service when it comes to that. So she decided to record me. She was trying to incite me to get angry, but she was recording me to post me on social media. So I was also very polite. I treated her so well. At the end, the review, what came out was positive. Something so positive about the airline, which drew more people to the airline, to fly the airline after that. Okay. So social media can make you or break you. And now that's where people have to look out. Those days, you'd have to go into the newspaper to make an announcement when baggage is lost. But now it's very easy. World Tracer will get the baggage for you. Yeah. So technology has really improved a lot. I think the airline has a lot to do with technology now.
So let's get to dive a little into your experience while at work. And we're going to compare the different workplaces, for example, that you were at throughout your career. What was the workplace environment like?
Mombasa was very interesting that time. It was slow paced, and it still is. Offices would close at 3 because it's very hot.
That's true. Okay.
Yeah. So I loved the fact that Uganda had a destination for tourism. So what I actually made sure that Ugandans benefit from was going on holiday. So I started students' packages. I used to advertise packages in schools. I would work with the team in Uganda. We organize packages, work with the hotels in Mombasa. The only unfortunate thing that time is Uganda Airlines could not pick passengers from Nairobi to Mombasa. So it would drop passengers off in Nairobi, then few people would come to Mombasa. But during Easter and Christmas, the flights would be full. So for holiday packages, that was the best route to go. It's a beautiful place. Mombasa is so beautiful. When you're in Mombasa, you can't believe you're in the same country as Nairobi, because that's a really holiday destination. I made a lot of contacts with the hotels. Beautiful. They really know how to handle tourism. That's where I got most of my tourism experience from. Alliance Air was, I think, my best experience in the airline.
Okay, we're here. We live for the experiences.
South Africa was also a fantastic holiday destination. Working again with tour companies, travel agents. First of all, it gets into branding as well, because travel agents are the ones who brand an airline. Corporate clients are your brand ambassadors. Now, that's where Alliance Air taught us how to handle travel agents right, corporate clients right, because they're the ones who are going to fill your aircraft at the end of the day.
Have the money top down.
Yeah. Now, that's the training we got. We learned how to treat our stakeholders right in Alliance Air. Alliance Air ensured that every person in the airline got trained. Aviator training, recognized training. So everybody knew what they were doing. When it came to packages, they ensured they put you with the right people to deal with in South Africa. So it would be a smooth package. You would take families 25 and above, take them to Cape Town, take them to Sun City, everything smooth, very well organized. So we did the outbound, and we tried to do the inbound as well by promoting Uganda. So we would promote, because we would fly to London, Alliance Air was flying to London, promote World Travel Market from London in those days, and it's still ongoing up to now. So we were the people who would go and present Uganda at the World Travel Market. That's tourism. So the tourism and the airline work hand in hand.
Walk us through your journey while in Zimbabwe. I understand it's quite an interesting market.
Zimbabwe was very interesting. When I got to Zimbabwe, the sales were very low.
Okay.
But I did a turnaround strategy with the staff that I had. So we targeted specific markets, high-end paying markets. Fortunately, Rwanda Air was given the rights. It was flying between Zimbabwe and Cape Town. And Zimbabwe and Cape Town it's a very busy market. But unfortunately, most people were not aware about Rwanda Air. It was just a new market. So I targeted sponsoring corporate events like polo sports and golf, targeting the high corporates with the intention of filling business class because it's a high yielding class. And sure enough, business class was always full. So we started off with a small aircraft, CRJ, which takes about 67 people. Within 3 months, we had moved to a Boeing, which is taking 160 people plus. Then within 6 months, we were flying an Airbus, 300 passengers. So economy class is cut in two classes. There's the high end, and then as the earlier you book, you'll get a cheaper ticket. But as you go towards the flight date, the ticket gets more expensive. But all that has to do with revenue. It's nothing to do. In the times when I was with Uganda Airlines, economy class was one fare, business class was one fare. So there was no complaint. I've paid this amount. How come I'm sitting on the same aircraft? It's a strategy that was created for the airline to be able to break even. So when you book early, you get your cheap tickets. But as you go, unfortunately, because you didn't book early, you are going to have to pay the expensive tickets. But for business class, because you want to break even, if you fill your business class, you just know your route is going to do very well. And Zimbabwe had the right clientele for business class. So when I targeted polo sports, you know what polo sports is? Yeah, golf on horses.
Yes.
And I partnered with Land Rover. So I did an annual event. So you hype up people on the radio, on social media. As you hype people up, they're booking with you because they're getting to know Rwanda Air exists, where the Rwanda Air office is. So Zimbabwe was a fantastic example. We did a 75% growth within a year. Now, Zimbabwe is also very, very beautiful. It's one country, people actually don't have to leave Africa to go for holidays.
Elsewhere.
You just need to go within Africa.
Within Africa.
Yeah. You can go to Egypt, you can go to Zimbabwe, you can go to Namibia, you can go to West Africa. But people love shopping. I realized when I was working with Africa One, it was business travelers going to Dubai. Holiday makers were also going to Dubai. But as my last experience now, because I've been all over the world, Africa is the best place for holidays. Mombasa alone, Zimbabwe, Seychelles, Zanzibar, we have everything. So imagine my experience with Zimbabwe was an eye-opener for me because there's Victoria Falls. Yeah,
Oh,
so Zimbabwe has a very good potential, just that Africans are not yet aware that there's so much beauty within their continent. They're going out to look for beauty. Zimbabwe was an eye-opener. I kept saying if I could, I would love Uganda Tourism Board, to go onto a farm trip to Zimbabwe to see what tourism is all about. Because in Zimbabwe, I'll give an example. There's a place called Bushman Rock. It's owned by a private owner. He has the polo sport on his property. He has zebra. He has all the small wild animals. You get onto a horse to go and take a photo with the zebra, with the giraffe, on somebody's private property. So that is already domestic tourism. You pay $5 to go onto a horse to ride and go and see a zebra or giraffe. So Zimbabwe was a very good eye-opener for me. Uganda can do it. Uganda can have domestic tourism, as in Ugandans alone going to specific areas in Uganda. You don't have to fly out of Uganda to go for tourism. You promote your own country, and that's what Zimbabwe does. They have a lot of domestic tourism in Zimbabwe. Somebody will go all the way from one end of Zimbabwe to Vic Falls, enjoy their country, they go back to Harare. Yeah.
The beauty about that is that, of course, when the COVID-19 period, did hit the country, government's eyes were now woke to investing in domestic tourism, and it's one of the periods where we saw government trying as much as possible to make sure that the budget for the tourism ministry, one that they've been drumming for all along, one that they've been asking for all along, to make sure that they market this country to their very own nationals. That's when that call was had. And over time, we've seen that budget growing incrementally as time goes on. And we hope that this coming financial year, the ask is still met for that particular increment. Especially for the unfunded priorities. I think that's done about 103 billion are taken care of. But please.
Okay. Now, to associate domestic tourism with the airline is a feeder. Now, like I'll give an example. Somebody comes from Nigeria to Uganda. Then Hoima International Airport is coming up. So Uganda Airlines needs the small aircrafts to be able to fly tourists right from either from Nigeria to Hoima or to Entebbe and a connecting flight. That's revenue to the country. So the airline, as I said, is a very important vehicle in tourism, a national airline.
Actually, you still remind me about the domestic tourism campaigns. The ministry just concluded the Explore Ankole campaign, where another new tourism heritage site was actually opened up, which is Mugaba Palace, Mugaba Heritage Site Stroke Museum, where the history of the Ankole culture has been brought to life in way of putting it out there for researchers, educationists, young people, and even tourists coming through who want to know more about this particular culture. And of course, Ankole aside, Explore Ankole aside, they've had a couple of other domestic tourism campaigns. And of course, we hope that this gets bigger and better. So, Ms. Mugenyi, if we can now come back home. I know we skipped that bit, but let's come back home.
Okay.
The first Uganda Airlines. What was it like? What was your experience like working there?
It was a very beautiful experience because Uganda Airlines adapted what was there with East African Airlines.
Yes.
East African Airlines was a very principled airline. First of all, they used to do inductions. When you join the airline, you go to other stations to learn the market, understand the market that you're going to sell, come back, which is not being done by airlines now. So you would understand your market. If you're in the marketing department, you're a sales executive, you go visit Harare, go visit Johannesburg, understand what you're going to sell. That's one loophole that is not there anymore, unfortunately. Then integrity, on-time performance. An airline that does not perform on time, you're letting down your clients.
Sure.
On-time performance is your brand. I must say, Rwanda Air, when I was working with Rwanda Air, was doing very well at on-time performance. I'll take you back again to what my experience would be as a country manager. I used to go and stand behind the check-in counter.
Wow.
And I would observe the frequent customers who are coming. I would observe, especially business class, because you'll know this customer is going all their way. Monitor their baggage. Ensure baggage arrives on time.
You do not want someone who has paid up for business class too.
After they've felt the attention you're giving them, invite them to your office. Thank them. So what I used to do, give a free ticket, because that business class passenger is flying like 10 times to go and check his baggage in Dubai, come back on the flight with it, ensure you monitor that. Now word of mouth spreads the good word.
Like a wildfire.
Yeah. Now, as a country manager, you go down. Don't sit in your office and just wait for sales. How are they going to come to you if you don't know what's happening on the ground?
Make them.
Yeah. Okay. Then you have something even to report to senior management. You will see your own time. Unfortunately, with flights, if you miss the morning flight, if the schedule is missed in the morning, it's a repercussion on all the other flights. Okay. But you can always catch up, make sure the aircraft turns around on time. So with the airline, I must say there's so much beauty working for an airline.
Thank you so much, Ms. Mugenyi, for those wonderful insights and walking us through what your 22-year aviation career has been or is still, actually, because I know we are still going stronger, bigger, and bolder. I know you out there have also picked and are still picking a few things here and there to get you grounded in what Uganda's aviation industry was about, what it is, and what we are looking forward to. We're going in for a very short commercial break, and when we come back, we need to know what are the guiding principles that have enabled Ms. Mugenyi's career stand the test of time. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to this particular segment on this edition of the Aviation Blueprint, where we are catching up with a seasoned female aviator that has seen Uganda's aviation history from afar, Miss Mugenyi. Thank you so much for sticking around with us. I do understand from our earlier conversation, there's this one particular airline station you went to and turned it to profitability in just a snap. There could be a couple of strategies that you're hiding under there. So it's high time you revealed them to us and for our audience out there that is thinking of, finding their footing in this rather tricky business. Ms. Mugenyi, what could some of these be?
Okay, the first thing I did was analyze the market,
Surely.
learn the market, see where the potential is, and I did it with my team. My team was actually only 2 sales executives who I put in so much effort to make them understand I mentored them to know what the airline is all about and who we are looking for. Then hard work. Sometimes you'd spend nights without sleeping, strategizing on the best way to do it. Then you look at your best routes. That's how I came up to see Cape Town. Harare, Cape Town was a very viable route. So I put a lot of emphasis on it. But in the meantime, working on other routes as well. Because it's not only one route that can help you go up. You have to look at all the routes. So it was first hard work, integrity, work with the team, put value in your team. It's very important for the airline. Once you do not value your team, you are not going to get results. Then I targeted the business travel, as I said, through corporates.
Business travel.
Yeah. So I got corporates. The market I was in has 50 golf courses, and most of those people fly out. Most of them fly to Cape Town to go and play golf. Most of them were not aware that Rwanda Air was going to Cape Town. So it was a very interesting, because marketing is a very interesting thing. You get to meet so many people. It's something filled with joy because you're always laughing. And so my team caught on very quickly. They would brand the airline. We painted Zimbabwe red with the airline. People now knew off mind, which airline goes to Cape Town, automatically you know which one is going. So that was basically all that we did. Wow. And then before we knew it, word of mouth was going around. People were looking for you.
There's this airline.
Yeah, and then you have personal contact. Wow. You have an open door policy. They come and talk to you whenever they want to. Your customer is your work team and the outside customers. You handle both of them very well. So you get cooperation from your team. They may end up working overtime, but working with a passion because you're understanding what you're doing. You've been mentored the right way on how to do it.
True.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we changed the sales. Within 1 year, the station was doing very well.
Wow. You speak of the aviation industry from a glamorous perspective. You kind of had it all easy, but we do understand behind the smiley face, there's a couple of challenges hidden under there. What are these things that were quite, I'd call them impediments, that everyone out there who intends on joining the business should be aware of? But then also, what solutions did you provide? How did you go around them? You could even paint us, you could actually give us a scenario, a live scenario that happened and what you employed to get it done.
My biggest challenge I faced at a very young age when I was in Mombasa at the age of 26. There's a time a flight delayed and people had onward connections and I was being abused like I was the pilot or the owner of the aircraft. Yeah. So that trains you to realize that communication is key. If you don't talk to your customers and explain to them about the delay, your brand is going to go down the drain. So that challenge to me became a reward when I started working with Rwanda Air, because I realized if you are on ground as a country manager and you're seeing the pain of your customers and you're relating to them and they see you as a country manager there,
confidence.
yes, they gain confidence in you. They'll fly you again because they'll know, okay, It's not a joke. The country manager is here.
True.
She's understanding. She's told us what's going to happen. If it goes more than 1 hour or more than a specific number of hours, you're going to give them food. More than a day, they're going to be accommodated. But they're comfortable that you're on the ground. So for me, that stopped being a challenge anymore. I would know anytime I'll be at the airport if there's a delay. But one thing that we always ensured was for on-time performance, all your aircrafts, 85 out of 100 aircrafts, have to depart within 15 minutes of the departure time. As in, you have to put a specific target to know that 85 of my flights out of 100 have to meet this standard on-time performance. So once you keep that up and you make sure your flights in the morning are not delayed, and you're working as a team with your operations team, ensuring you have to be on top of your game. When the flight leaves, you have to understand. So on-time performance being a brand, you begin to understand that challenge is not a challenge anymore because I'm standing in for my brand.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's from a personal point of view. However, let's get a bit deeper into the airline perspective. What are some of the common challenges that you have seen? I know you've worked for a couple of airlines. What are the biggest issues that you have seen that airlines probably need to work on?
I think for Africa as a whole,
Yes.
Africa, there's something that the African Union has brought up. It's called the Single African Air Transport Market, which is trying to help airlines in Africa to collaborate and get away with some bilateral agreements that don't help the airlines to fly like from one country to another. Now, that's a challenge because if countries are not working together or airlines are not working together in Africa, you'll find that you can't meet your targets on regional routes or the continental routes that you want to. So airlines have to cooperate. Bilateral agreements would really help for governments to work together. So I would love to see airlines working together in the African continent so that they can feed each other, compete well with regards to on-time performance, with regards to cost per seat. If airlines work together, then that would be resolved.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ms. Mugenyi, as we conclude this particular segment, what has been your most rewarding experience as an aviation leader? Is it the money? Is it the teamwork? Is it the experiences?
I think the experience has been dynamic.
Okay.
I can't even relate because 21 years in an airline, and I have been manager. I've been at the level of manager, but a manager who is understanding what's on the ground. You'll understand what's at the check-in counter, reservations, everything within the airline. I think it's been the best experience of my life.
Okay, so Ms. Mugenyi, we do understand, and even in our earlier deliberation, you spoke a lot and passionately about the training that you received earlier on in your career. Is this something that you see currently happening? But also, what is it exactly? Or what will it take for the current crop of professionals, of young professionals actually, that we have to match to that was prestigious back then?
Okay. I must say training, the most important is financial literacy. You have to understand how the airline is making money and how it's losing it. And everybody within the entire airline at one point needs to understand it. Fine, you may be in sales and ticketing, but you need to understand. You need to understand what your targets are. So training is very important with that, financial literacy. Otherwise, people will just come to work just to earn money and go. They won't understand that they have to earn a specific amount required in your targets so that you can be able to get your salary. Then data skills. Training, I remember in my training in South Africa was mainly about how to analyze data as well. You need to be very analytical on the data that you receive from specific departments. From your revenue department, you need data analysis. Customer service, of course, that's one of the most important. If you don't have customer service, I remember when I joined one of the airlines, I introduced something called a mystery shopper, targeted at improving customer service, because I realized the girls were treating the customers. A customer would walk in, a girl is chewing gum, or you could see her feet underneath the table, her shoes are off. So I introduced something called a mystery shopper. A mystery shopper is training because somebody is coming in and writes a report on you. You don't know that they're analyzing you and writing, and then they give the country manager the report. You have a meeting, you tell your staff members, this is what has been said about you. So that is very important with customer service. You get feedback from somebody without the staff member knowing. That was my best training. I taught staff how to smile, service with a smile, and be polite. Because you'd ask them, when you walk into a place and you're faced with a staff member who is looking at you because they've had issues back home, would you want to be handled the same way?
No.
Yeah. So training is very vital for me.
Okay.
For the airlines, basically.
And on that bit of the training, if we could just go back on the element of school, currently speaking, is there a particular, let's say, school requirement in terms of the course that someone should have done to qualify for some of these things, or it still remains an open sort of career or profession that one can join? Of course, save for the highly technical ones.
Okay, I'm aware that most positions in marketing look for BCom, degree in BCom.
Yes.
But I did economics, but topped it up with IATA UFTA diploma. So I still managed to do what and still get to country manager. So it's not specific that you have to have done that. Then I will also give another example. I had interns who I brought on. They were S6 leavers, but they were trained from scratch. They were trained to go into the field, talk to corporate clients. They would sit by somebody, learn ticketing. They ended up training on ticketing. So you'll find even an S6 leaver can fit in, and eventually as they go along and they further their studies as they're working. And the reason why I did that is because while I was in Mombasa, while I was looking for a job, I always used to be told, you need 2 years experience before we can employ you. We need 3 years. And you're like, where am I going to start? So I always had that empathy for people who are looking for work. Then I realized you can actually train and end up being even better than somebody who has been on the job for a long time.
Okay. Yeah. You're an industry leader. With your last submission, what I gather is mentorship. But could you join it with any sort of advice you have for the young people that want to join in the industry? Do you offer mentorship as well?
Okay. I would advise somebody to go into something with a passion. If you're just looking for a job just for the sake of working and earning money, you're in the wrong industry, because the airline is really about customer service. I would love to mentor people. I have mentored people actually in the airline. I have quite a number of staff members who I've mentored, and I'm very happy to see where they are right now. They have got to country manager level, and I'm very proud of that. And I would love to mentor anybody if they came up to me. Yeah.
Does it come at a fee?
No.
I mean, you boast of a wealth of knowledge that I understand. You could have paid a few, shillings, dollars, to have acquired. But the fact that you're giving it to us free of charge, that says a lot about your character, Miss Mugenyi. And thank you so much for that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going in for a very short commercial break after having gotten a few things here and there when it comes to the key takeaways for someone who is thinking of joining this particular industry, especially the young people out there in school, but also for the young professionals. Now, when we come back, we very well know that Ms. Mugenyi right here did handle a couple of airlines in terms of branding and marketing. How she was able to do that, we shall find out in the next segment. So do not go anywhere. We're still right here at the Aviation Blueprint. So Miss Mugenyi, we want you to walk us through aviation safety and management. It's very important for us to be safe around airport, around the airport, but also in the line of business. And I know you have wholesome experience in a couple of these departments. But why is it key? Why is it very important for us?
Okay, safety is non-negotiable. Without safety in an airline, then you're really running down your business.
Okay.
It's in all departments. It's not only at the airport. The first most important is the aircraft's maintenance. The aircrafts have to go through something called C-check, safety, because that's what is running the airline, the aircrafts. So you have that side. Then you have the safety. It starts also in the office. How the staff themselves have to be aware of safety. Everything that they're doing in regards to how they're handling the customers, safety for everybody. It also comes through ticketing, how your tickets are being issued. That's another safety requirement, because there are many incidents of people coming with forged documents. So that safety precaution has to be done. So it's partly the airline on that of documents and the civil aviation as well, immigration. So, but the most important is maintenance. Maintenance must never be compromised of aircrafts, because that's what will make the airline. Whether there's a C check that has to be done, a C check is when the aircrafts have to go for their daily checks for safety and maintenance, basically. That's what all airlines are looking to, safety of the aircraft. So that is key for any airline operating.
Safety vis-a-vis profitability. How do the two work hand in hand?
Okay, safety and profitability are the same, equal. You can't have safety, you can't not have safety and think you'll be profitable. Because if people know that your aircrafts are not safe, they're not going to fly with you either.
We understand you have worked in high-level airlines. What would it take, or what would you define as a great brand?
Okay, most people think that branding is the color that you see, or the outlook, but branding involves a lot. As I had mentioned before, on-time performance is a brand. If your airline is known for keeping time, that is already a brand. Okay, put that aside. Also, integrity, customer service is a brand. If an airline is known for having staff members who meet you and greet you with a smile, and when you lose your baggage, they are out there to help you out, that's already a brand. So branding is not just the way the airline looks, because I've noticed people say, look at the branding of a crane standing instead of a crane flying. That's not really the brand. The brand is what you have to offer. Yeah. So once you put your brand stake high, then you will get the sales. Because branding is very important in that perspective.
Okay. Yeah. What would you define customer loyalty to be? But also, what would it take for a customer to be loyal to this brand?
Okay, customer loyalty, first of all, you'll be able to tell by the number of times a customer comes back to you, flies with you. If you have a customer, you will have to have somebody who is going to follow up. It's called after sales, to find out, why didn't my customer come back to me? You will notice the customers if you pay attention to detail. Like I said, as a country manager, if you go to the check-in counter and you notice who is frequently traveling with you, find out from that customer, why are they traveling with you? What is the unique selling point for the airline? Why are they coming back to you? Improve on that. And you'll notice most of them are coming back to you because you're giving them extra attention, which they're not going to find in another airline. So it's very important to have a team that understands what customer loyalty is all about as well.
Okay. Brand presence. I'm still going to refer to that particular example that you gave us when you were posted in a country where the brand presence for that particular airline was not that vibrant, or was not that sound. But then in just 1 year, you were able to turn things around to the point of getting this airline profitable. What would it take for an airline to have that brand presence, a sound brand presence? But also, what strategies should one employ, especially for the young professionals, to make sure that they are way ahead in this game?
I think if people know what a marketing mix is, there's one of the P's, place. We shifted offices so that we were on the main highway and we branded the entrance. When you're passing, you just see Rwanda Air, Rwanda Air. So everyone would ask, where does that airline go to? We went further to put destinations as part of our wall. That already created an influx of people coming to ask. We knew the most important route at that point was Cape Town. So word of mouth as well went through for us because of that branding. We placed the offices in the right place. Then for product, another P, we ensured we sponsored the correct corporate events, which were mainly golf. That's where you would find a high... Zimbabwe was very quiet. After 5, you won't find anybody. So you'll ask yourself, where do I find the people? You'll find the people at the golf courses. That's where you'll find most people interacting. So the strategies come out one by one, but you have to be very calculative and know exactly what you want to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
For a country like Uganda, where many of us might not be interested in golf, where, if you could just give me an example, what should a young professional be looking out for? Where should they be putting their eyes?
Now, for young corporates, you will always find the other events that you can do with the young corporates. It will depend on, for example, you will find many corporates in Rotary.
In Rotary, yes, yes.
I, for one, am a Rotarian, so I know exactly what happens in the corporate world in Rotary. That's where a lot of information goes out, and you will find a whole wide scale of everybody you want to meet in the corporate world in Rotary. So you have to think out of the box. Don't think you're going to find corporates in a nightclub and think they're going to fly with you. No, you're going to find serious people, like in Rotary meetings. So you have to really have a marketing strategy that is thinking out of the box. Yeah.
Any other strategies for any other brand strategy? Any other strategies that would enable an airline create a strong brand presence?
Pricing is very important.
Yes.
You do something called market intelligence because you need to know what are other airlines offering, what can we offer. Of course, there's certain fares you won't be able to go much because they are too low and the airline will become loss making. But where you can, you offer packages because you know packages are going to draw people to you. So it depends on your marketing strategy. You have to be very precise, but it's very target oriented because an airline is not going to only fly corporates. It's going to fly business people. It's going to take cargo. You have to see, it's one area that is not looked into in airlines, but cargo is very, very important. And you'll find eventually you might even need cargo planes because of the destinations you're going to, like China, Dubai, even Lagos. Lagos has a lot of cargo back and forth. So that's a very important strategy that most people are not looking at, but you have to put it into your marketing strategy. Previously, the cargo was not as much as it is now. You'll find, I'll just give an example of what happened in Zimbabwe. There's a business class traveler who used to go and want to benefit on his cargo. Pieces that he's entitled to. But he'd find he has so much electrical cargo that he has to bring in, which you see there's a loophole. The airlines are not looking at the cargo perspective. They're just looking at baggage hold. So for example, if you're flying a small aircraft to do regional routes, you're going to oversee the ones who are connecting and coming with a lot of cargo. So cargo is a strategy that has to be looked in more now currently by all airlines.
Okay.
Then another strategy now, which has changed completely, is digital marketing. Those days there was no digital marketing. You'd have to go to the TV stations to advertise, radio stations. But now with digital marketing, you'll meet everybody in their home. So that's another strategy now that has to be really taken advantage of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Trends. We're speaking to trends. What was being done differently, especially in marketing? What was being done differently before, vis-a-vis what's being done now, and what opportunities can someone take advantage of, especially new entrants in the business, but also those proceeding with business but want to do it differently?
Okay. The trends are mainly centered around concentrating again on travel agents and corporates. That was before. Even now, it can because they are the brand managers. They are brand ambassadors, travel agents and corporates. So if the trend should be
Take a
that,
picture. Sorry, just continue.
so with the way travel agents, because they are the brand ambassadors, they have to be also get a fair share of the business, be treated correctly, which they always have been, and it's something that cannot be ignored up to now. It still has to be done now.
So, Miss Mugenyi, what legacy do you want to leave in Uganda's aviation industry or even beyond?
Okay, I must say I've been very proud to work in the airline industry over the 21 years. I would love to see Uganda put on the world map, visited by the world, and an airline, which is the airline is the heart of the country when it comes to tourism. A growing airline. So whatever we've gone through the years, Uganda can still make it to the top. So the legacy I would like to see is a fantastic airline working, of course, with the expertise that is in the country, which is currently there.
Yes.
It may have been overlooked, but it is there.
Okay. And we are looking forward to, personally, I'm looking forward to, walking into some office, especially along this aviation line. And I'm like, okay, well, Miss Mugenyi, we are back to that. Yes. Last but not least, would want you to let us in on what it is you're cooking. I'm sure we cannot have all this knowledge here home, seated doing nothing. We know for sure you're cooking, so please let us in on any initiatives.
Most of them are centered around tourism,
Okay.
promoting the country. The country can't work without, cannot, the economy simply needs tourism. So I am more interested in seeing tourism come into the country, whether it's through the airline or through projects that we'll do. But tourism is the first thing because I love nature. Uganda is very beautiful. We need an airline that is going to promote the culture and make everybody love Uganda.
Yes.
So what's cooking for me is promoting tourism into
Promoting
Uganda.
tourism. I cannot wait to come through and see some of these establishments, some of these initiatives, because at least we've had, some background talk, and I know you are cooking. But we just wanted to let the world know that one of Uganda's seasoned aviators has been right here with us, sharing with us knowledge on how best we can shape Uganda's aviation industry. It's been a pleasure, Ms. Mugenyi, for you to host us.
Thank you.
In your
Lydia.
home. As you said, you love nature. It's very evident. We cannot understate that fact. And thank you so much for being hospitable to us. We look forward to coming through again when we have also achieved.
You're most welcome.
When industry leaders send us back here, we shall come knocking at your door. And we definitely do expect more from you, because we know you are now back down to the grassroots. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, time is never our best ally, but I hope and pray that you will put into practice, especially for those going to school, for the young professionals who have just joined the industry. We hope and pray that you will put into practice what Miss Mugenyi has availed to us in this particular segment. I remain Olivia Nakalembe right here at the Aviation Blueprint that has been proudly powered by Mbawa Aviation Media Foundation. For now, it's a bye from me and the entire crew. Be blessed.